Okay, so in this video we are going to create our register page and register clients into our database. So first of all, what we want to do is let's bring over our page, click register. We have nothing on there, so let's actually make that. So here we want to go to non-authenticated routes and register. So now let's create the page. So the first thing we want to do is create a form, and we want to make our action to /register. So that's going to be the route. Now, if we just leave this, its method is going to be get, just like when we get a web page. So we want to change it to a post request. We'll add that into our route soon. Okay, so this is where we're just going to put in our details. I like tables because it makes it nice and neat, but you can make whatever you want. Okay, so say table row, table head, label in there, say F name for first name. And then TD will handle our input. What's the name of F name? And we want to say required. Cool. So let's copy that. We want it, so that's first name, we want to have last name, email address, password, and confirm the password. So now we're going to change U2 to L name, change you to last, set you to email, this one to password, and this one will be conf password for confirm password. Cool, and what we want underneath that is another row for heading, which will be our submit button. Text of register. So let's open that up. Cool, that's all in there. Let's just do a little bit of styling. I know you guys will be doing styling, but just for what I'm doing, I want to send all these to the right and extend the button all the way across. So let's say style, a table heading will have a text align to the right. Okay, and then I want to have a button with a width of 100%, and I want to make this column have a col span of 2, so it's going to span over the 2 columns. Good, that looks a lot better. Alright, so now we've got this page. When we send all this data through, it says cannot post. Just like before we said cannot get /, we need to create a post for /register. So now let's go into our routes and non-authenticated routes and register. And now we can create our post request. And just like our get, we want to have request and response. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is we want to get the data that's just been sent to us. So let's create a variable called data, and we want to store in our request.body, and that's where it's actually stored. Now, right now, if we submit that, that is actually going to fail because the server by default doesn't accept any data in the body to be sent to it from the client. So we need to tell it to accept it. So down here in our server file, we want to say express.url encoded with an extended set true, and that will allow us to get data from the body. So once we've got that data, the very first thing we want to do is we want to validate that the passwords match each other. Later on, we'll worry about password complexity, you know, characters, numbers, letters, whatever, but right now let's just make sure that they match. So let's say if data.password is not equal to data.conf password, we want to return back response.render. Actually, it's exactly this. We want to return back to that page. but we want to return back messages error of passwords do not match. Okay, if we're setting that down and we're having an error on our register page, it will have an actual error and throw a fit if we don't also throw an error here. So let's say messages error is null because there's no errors there. So now we go back to this page, and now we can put in some JavaScript, as you can see, without any operator there. So we're going to say if messages.error, so if there is an error, we want to do this. We want to show messages.error. So right now, if we go back to our register page, it's not showing it in there, that error. Even if we go view page source, you can see it's not showing our error there because there is no error. But let's say we go and incorrect passwords. We go register, and that didn't work. That's exactly what I wanted. Nice. Let's try that again. Maybe you just need to refresh the page. Register. Why is that error not coming up? Let's come back up here. Okay. If data.password is not equal to data.conf password, return response.render that with messages.error. Okay. So in here we have if mess up, that's where it is right there. Okay, no error. Register. Passwords do not match, but let's type it in again. Make password 123, 123, and this time it's just going to hang. There we go, it's just hanging. And that is because we haven't said what to do. If the passwords aren't correct, do this. We've got nothing if the passwords are correct. So what we want to do if the passwords are correct, we want to store that data in the database. So the first thing we need to do is create a model for our users. Yes. Alright, let's copy all that into there. We want to say you and you are users. You and you are users. Alright, now we're going to have our users schema. A user schema will have our F name, which is a string, our L name, which is a string. We're going to have a full name, which will be a string, which will just concat those two together. We're going to have our email, which is a string. We're going to have our password, which is a string. I'm going to add a lot more to this later. One more thing I'm going to add into this now is active, just so I can show you something that's not a string. And it's going to be a boolean. So an active is just going to say whether the user account's active or not. Pretty nice and simple. There we go. Okay, so we go back in here. So if the passwords don't match, do that. If they do match, come down here. So what we want to do is we want to say await, or before we do that, we have to pull in that database model. There we go. So now we can say await new users dot save. So now is the data we're going to store into our database. So it's our f name, which is data.f name, our L name, which is our data.L name, full name, which is data.f name, plus a space, plus our data.L name, our email, data.email. Now for our password, We do not want to store plain text passwords in our database, obvious reasons, very insecure. So we're going to want to encrypt this password. And to do that, we're going to use the dependency called bcrypt. Let's install that. Cool. All right, now let's require that. Bcrypt equal to require bcrypt. Okay, so what we're needing to do in here is, because encryption takes time, when I say it takes time, it's milliseconds, but it's longer than the code wants to wait. So we have to tell it to wait. I'm going to say bcrypt.hash. So what are we going to hash? That data.password. And it's going to accept the second argument, which is going to be itself. So what it uses to, it's type for a password pretty much. So I'm going to await bcrypt.gensalt. Cool. Now this is going to throw an error, obviously, because we have these awaits and we're not in an asynchronous function. So let's come up here, get noted as asynchronous, and there's all good. So now we've put that data into, oh, we forgot actually our active, and we're going to set that to true. Okay, so now we've done that, we need to go somewhere. So let's say response.render, not render, redirect to our login page. There we go. So now if we register a user, so now let's go register, and let's say basic user, basic@user.com, basic and basic, go. It's taken us to the login page. And now if we come over to our database, we will refresh you. We have our users collection, and then we have our basic user with our encrypted password. Perfect. Okay, so in our next video, we're going to work on our authentication for login. So in that, we're going to, pretty much use a package called Passport to handle our login and handle our active sessions and our serialization of users and deserialization of users. So somebody's going to log in, send them to the dashboard, and that's pretty much it.